So all I did was I came over here and got a shape, and I just drew one right here, and I'm going to fill it with a pattern, and I'm going to show you how to fill it with a pattern in Silhouette Business Edition. So all you do is come up here to the paint palette on the right hand side. Looks like a painter's palette. The first one you'll notice here is just the fill color, and I could change its color to any one of these colors over here. The next one is the gradient, and we kind of messed with that once before a little bit. You can change its gradient here all different ways, and you can adjust it with these advanced options, but we're not going to mess with that today. What we're playing with today is the pattern fill, which is the third one over, and these are the patterns that come in with Silhouette, so I could change it to any one of these patterns that I might like. And again, for advanced options on the pattern, you just click over here and it comes down to a lot more options, and I can change the scale of it just like we can do over in Cricut Design Space. Make it like that, change it, really change up its scale a lot. I can pan this pattern. Now to pan this pattern, it's really not going to matter because this pattern is the same everywhere. Whoops, I just messed that up. But anyway, to pan the pattern, it's really not going to matter right now. I'll show you that when it's going to make more sense. Hang on. And okay, so over here again on the right hand side, these are all the ones that were included or are included. Here's one that's kind of goofy because it's repeating like that. So I would probably want to change its scale quite a bit like that. Something. But you see right here where there's the, whoops, I missed. Okay. You see right here where my mouse is, where it starts to repeat, and there's a big cutoff right there. So I could just change the scale of that over here so that that's not happening anymore, just like that. So these are all the ones that you get in Silhouette. And then down here, you'll notice it says glitter. These are some actual, not patterns per se, but some things that I added because I wanted to be able to simulate the glitter look on something. Okay, now notice that little cutoff right there. Again, I would have to mess with the scale of this, whoops, to get rid of that. And my little picture for glitter doesn't work that well for that. Anyway, I also added some other patterns down here, and these are the ones that you guys have as well. So here's one, and I'm going to show you how to import that in just a second. But again, I could change the scale of this one. You know what it is, y'all? I need to make that thing that I have here a lot smaller, I guess. And then I can make it prettier. Maybe have less of those and less of a, and less jaggedy edges of this. Anyway, let's get rid of this one and start again. So we're going to come over here to get a pattern. And I'm going to get just a circle. Draw the circle, bring it in. Now, if I wanted to add my own pattern, and one of those patterns that I gave to y'all to try if you wanted to, what you do is you come up here to File, Library, and then not Import Library, but Import to Library. So then once you're there, you can find any picture that you want to import to the library. Say like I wanted to import this picture of the Little Mermaids that I had done the other day, but I don't really. So what I would do is come over here. Here are the pumpkins. Or the gourds. I think I may have sent that picture to you. So all I have to do is click on this picture and say, okay. And of course I have to sign in here. And once I'm signed in there, here it is right here, the gourds that I just put in my library. Now, it's going to come into your library right here. I don't want it in that part of my library. I want it in the pattern section so that I can use it as a pattern. So what I would do is come over here to where it says File Types on the very left and click on that. And wait 1 second. Okay. All right, let me see what's going on here. I'm going to go back to design. And then I did all of this. Sorry, guys. File. And we're going to go to import library. Import to library. Let me try this again. Let me try something I maybe didn't put as a pattern. And I'm going to do that one. This right here. And I'm going to say OK. And I've imported that into my library, right? Okay, I'm really having an issue. There it is right here. It's all lit up. All right, so what I'm going to do now is what I did before. Oh, here it is now. It's working right. Okay, so if you look over here on the left-hand side now, it's working properly. If I want to use this as a pattern, or I want to use the gourds again as a pattern, for some reason before it didn't open up properly, I should have this little drop down stuff over here, the files. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one right here and just drag it over here and put it in the pattern library. Okay, so I'll take this one over here and I'll put it in the pattern library just so that you can see how that's going to work. So I'm going to bring this over to the pattern library. So now when I go back to my design, let's say we have this circle again, and instead of it having this blue stuff in there, I want it to be filled with the gourds. So I'll click up here on the fill pattern. First I came to the paint palette, the fill, and then I'm going to go to the fill pattern, and the one I want to get is the very one that's the gourds right here. Notice the last two I put in, or the very last one I put in is the first one here under the word patterns, and there's the gourds, so I can fill it just like that. So let's go through that a couple more times together because I'm not exactly sure why that messed up my first time. So let's type in some letters. Let's type in fall. I'm going to type all caps, harvest. 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 What is up? Okay, I'm going to scroll back out. Oh, I see I did 2 T's. All right. Okay, so I'm going to change this font, and I'm going to change it to something that I downloaded recently, and it was called Orange Fizz. It's from Dafont.com. I kind of thought it was pretty cool, so I'm going to change my font to that. So I'm going to come over here to the font area, the textile panel. I need to have it all selected. I'm going to come over here. And here it is. I've used it recently, so it's Orange Fizz. You can probably see the word up here, Orange Fizz. Kind of thought that was a nice, thick font, something a little bit different than what we usually use. Going to make it much larger. And I'm going to fill some of these letters with patterns. So first thing I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to refresh your memory and make sure this works again as it should on how to put a new pattern in our library. So again, you'll come to File, Library, Import to Library, and I'm going to find something else to bring in just for something different. So see if I have anything in here I could bring in. Okay, let's just bring in this picture right here. Okay, so there it is over here. It's highlighted. It wouldn't be a very good pattern, but let's pretend it will. I'm going to hold down my mouse key and just bring that over. See, I'm dragging it over. I'm going to drag it over here and put it in the patterns folder. Now, if I was wanting to add more patterns in the glitter folder, I could have dragged it to here. Say I'd want to make another folder in here. All I have to do is right click and say new folder, and I can name this fall. So maybe what I wanted to do with all of these patterns that I have is to click on these, and I'm sort of jumping around here. I hope I'm not driving you crazy. I'm clicking on the ones that were fall pictures that I already did as I hold down the control button on my keyboard, and then I'm just going to drag them over here and put them all in the fall folder. So notice now I have some glitter, I have some fall, and I have regular patterns. That's one of the big advantages I feel over Cricut Design Space, is that we can really organize our stuff over here. So anyway, I'll go back to the design, and I'll once again just make a circle just to quickly show you how I can fill this in. Here's the circle. And again, all I will do is come over here while that is selected to the painter's palette. And I could change its color, as I've shown you, to any color I'd like. But again, if I want to change it to a pattern, I'll come to the third one over. The top ones are the ones that we get automatically from Silhouette. I'm going to scroll way down here to the ones I've put in there, and notice now there's a folder named Fall, and there's a folder named Glitter. That's the glitter I put in, and then there are my other miscellaneous patterns. I'm going to click on this one to put that in there, and now I can show you that panning feature. So here I am with this one, and I think I'll be able to show it with this. Notice when I click on that word pan pattern right here, it puts this little button in the middle. That allows me to pan this pattern because maybe there was something over on the side that I really wanted to get. Like maybe I really wanted this fish in there and this fish. Or now watch, I can't pan it anymore. I have to come back and click on pan pattern again. There's that little button I need, and I can pan this again like this. Maybe I like it like that with those waves in there. And oh, and there's a turtle. Okay, so that's what the pan pattern is for, because this allows me to move the pattern that I have in here as often as I want. So maybe I'll put this pattern in there. And again, I'd want to pan this probably because I'd like this little girl to be in there all the way. So if I click on pan pattern, watch in the center here, and you'll see the button come up. Then I can just hold that down, and I can move this over just like this, so that basically I can just have her in there. And I'm not sure if I'd make this smaller. If I could, oops, I got to pan it again. And I can pan this. Now I still have the repeat, so I'd have to see how to fix that. But anyway, this allows you to pan it over and get the part you want. Maybe you wanted this part in there. And by the way, this was a video that I did that's on Auntie Tay's channel, if you're familiar with her and you're interested in seeing how to make this. Oh, I've got to highlight this first and then click on pan pattern. So what I did was I showed how to do this right here in that. Anyway, so let's go back up to the text that we did. And I have already put in all of my fall pictures. And again, the way I did that was I came up here to File, Library, Import to Library. And once it was imported to my library, I'll do one more. This is a class that's coming up on Auntie Tay's channel soon. I have this right here that just came into my library. I don't want it just as a library item because I want it as a pattern so I can use it to fill things. So again, I can just drag this right over here into my patterns, the general pattern category, or if I've made folders, I could put it into those. So now it's gone out of here, but it's in my patterns. So again, if I come back, this thing's in my way. Okay, if I come back over here to design and I look down here, there it is. My newest pattern is there. And if I wanted to, one last time, I could bring in a circle or a dot or anything and bring this pattern over here and just fill it right into there like that. So that's how easy it is. And now we have letters. And we've done letters before where we brought in images, but this is just a fun, easy way to do it. If you have a whole slew of them and you think you're going to be reusing them, you can go click on this and ungroup it, right click and ungroup. So then each letter is individual. And then you just can come over to your fill. So again, to find this, come over to the paint palette. I could change its color, as you know, or I could change it so that it is a gradient, but I want to do a pattern. I'm going to bypass all the patterns that they gave, go down to my patterns, and I'm going to just start putting in some of my fall ones. So click on the next one, the next one. So I have to highlight the letter and then click on the item. Highlight the letter and then click on the pattern fill I want. And again, you can pan the pattern, so I can even pan this little tiny pattern right here. Maybe I like to have a certain way for my little caps on my acorns to look. Or I could change the scale to make them a lot tinier or really big. So that's how easy this is to use. I'm just going to do a few more of these. I'll just kind of willy-nilly put some of these in here. Yeah, just going to put a weird one in there. Okay, so I've already done all that. And of course, as you know, what we could do now is we could group it all back together. And then just to refresh your memory, again, what we could do is we could come over here and add an offset. And it's just with the little star tool. It's the offset panel. I can click on that to open it. And I can offset it. And so there it's offset pretty nicely, actually. And these letters are touching pretty well here. So I could change the color of the offset if I want to by coming up here. Wait, let's make sure I have the offset only selected. Hold down my shift and get that. Come up here, and I could change the offset to any color that I'd like. Okay, that's kind of not very nice, actually, in my opinion, but you get the idea. And so then this could be used if you're making say you're making a fall arrangement for your table. You could put this on the fall arrangement for your table, and that'd be really cute, right? Like kind of like a cake topper, but it could be for your flower arrangement or whatever. And someone had asked in one of the questions on YouTube, I think it was, could you just mirror this and put it on the back? And I want to show you why that won't work. Okay, I'm going to grab all this and group it together again. As it's selected, I'm going to hold down my Alt key. Look at my little mouse. When I go over this, it turns into a plus sign. That means I'm going to duplicate all of this. Okay. Now, if I just mirror this or flip it horizontally, it's going to be like this. If I try to put this right on the back of that, notice those letters aren't going to line up at all. Okay. It won't work like this. You can't just flip it horizontally and have it work. But what you can do is this. You can grab this whole thing and either put a shape behind it. Maybe you'd like to a shape behind it. There we go. You could do this. And again, for me to know how big to make my shape or where stuff is fitting, remember we can always come over here to this little palette, the paint palette again, and I can change the transparency of this shape right now. Right now, there's no transparency. If I bring it up, that allows me to see through it so I can see exactly where this is going to go on here. Or, of course, what I could have done also is rather than changing the transparency, I've got to click it to make it go back. I could have just right-clicked on this and said, send to the back. And there we go. It's the same. So maybe I would like this to be a little bit smaller if I can. And make this stuff fit. Okay, and I could change this to a prettier color if I wanted to, or just have it white, right? And then I could make two of these and put them back to back if I was going to have an arrangement that was maybe on a table that would be visible from both sides. If it's something up against the wall, you know, it could just be one.
Can I ask a question, Patty Ann?
Please do.
Could you do it vertically? Like I know in Cricut, you switch it the other way and you can put them back to back.
Oh, now that's a good idea. Check this out, Casey. Okay, watch. I'm gonna do. Oh, oops! I gotta get my fingers on the home keys. I learned that back in high school a million years ago. All right, so I want you to come over here for a second, right here, and I'm gonna highlight this. And the easiest way to turn this, flip it, is like that. If you like it like that, is that what you mean, fall harvest? Or did you?
No, it's just instead of doing the horizontal flip, it's a vertical flip. So it flips it up the other way. And then, I mean, that's how I do cake toppers.
Okay, wait. Instead of doing a horizontal. So you write the letters instead of it doing like this, do you mean, no, you don't mean that.
Like when you did that vertical flip, but can't you flip it up to the top so it's...
Oh, yeah, okay, I know what you mean, I think. So, let's see, flip vertically.
There you go.
And that would flip it and it would go around to the other side. Correct. So in other words, I would hold down my Alt key and make another one of these, and then I would flip this one back vertically. So then, yes, very good, thank you. I never even thought of that. I obviously don't make cake toppers. Perfect. So did y'all get that? So explain how that works again. Who was that was talking?
Oh, Betsy.
Betsy, okay, thanks. Tell everyone how you do that then. Do you know?
Well, what you just did, you just flip it vertically instead of horizontally. So then you can put them back to back. Like your fall harvest, you wouldn't necessarily have to have that oval behind it if you didn't want.
Thank you so much. I wouldn't want that oval, actually. I'd like it much better without it. So I love this. So let's get rid of that oval and let's just see. Let's see. Can I get, yeah, there we go. All right, let's see. So I'm going to make another one of these, right? So I'm going to hold down my Alt key and make another one. And so this one is at the top. I'm just going to right click on that and say flip vertically, correct? Correct. So then when this one's flipped, when I put it behind there, it's going to match up perfectly. Thank you. That is an excellent tip. I didn't know that. I appreciate it a lot. All right, cool. So now we can really make pretty cake toppers and arrangements for your Thanksgiving table or whatever. Something for Halloween, that'd be fun. Okay, does anybody have any questions about how to bring in the patterns?
I would just like to know then, how would you get all that into Design Space? Because I only use Silhouette software, but I have to do it in Design
Correct.
Space.
Okay, yes. So to go to Design Space then, what I would do is make sure just everything is grouped together. And of course, we'll have to make sure that it's sized okay so it will fit in the, I'll just have to make it a little bit smaller, I think, but we'll change that over in Design Space. So I have everything grouped together. What I would do for Design Space now is I would come up here to File, Save As, Save to my hard drive. Back up here. I'm going to save it under, or I'm going to save it as Fall Harvest. Now, the beauty of having Business Edition as opposed to the free edition of Silhouette software is that you have all these other optional ways to save things. If you just had the free version, you'd only be able to save it as Silhouette files. But with the Business Edition, you can save it as an SVG, but this is a print then cut. We don't want to save it as an SVG. You're going to save it as a JPEG right here. Save it as a JPEG. Fall Harvest, I'm saving it in my downloads and I'll say okay. I'll just leave all of these like they are and say save. Okay, now I'm going to come up here and I'm going to open up Cricut Design Space and I'll probably have to do a new share. Okay. Okay, so here we are in Cricut Design Space. Let me know by tapping your space bar if you were unable to see this. Tell me.
We can see it.
Okay, thanks, Tammy. All right, so now we're going to upload. I'm going to upload that image that we just created. Going to browse for it. And it was in my downloads, and it was called Fall Harvest. Here it is at the bottom. I'll say open. All right, here it is. I always say complex. I don't know. I just do. Y'all can do however you like to do it. And I go to continue. And then this gives me this right here. So I can make it smaller by hitting, okay, where'd my mouse go? Why's my mouse button? My mouse get lost sometimes. Okay, you guys, you're just gonna have to bear with me for 1 sec because my mouse appears to be lost. I had this issue yesterday. Was it when I was in Design Space?
Your battery might be low.
I don't know. Was it just when I was in, here's back.
It was in that live thing.
Yeah, but I didn't know if I was in Design Space at that time. All right, so I'm going to go to the Select and Erase right here. I'm going to come over here like y'all know how to do. And what I was going to do originally was come over here to make it smaller, zoom out so I could see more of it, right over here in the upper right-hand corner. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this Select and Erase, click on that, and it erases everything I want to erase. Now, there are a few places that have an erase, so I could bring my tool in there and just erase those spots out if I'd like them erased. And I could zoom in closer to make sure I don't accidentally get something I don't want to get. It looks pretty good. So I'm just going to go continue. Now I don't obviously want just the cut image. I want the print then cut. So I would name it over here and maybe put some tags and then say save. And it came in perfectly, and I'd say insert the image. Okay, and here it is just like this. And then I would go to make it. Okay, it says it's incompatible. This is something new that's popped up, I've noticed. It used to just pop up and say that the size was incorrect, but now it just says this sometimes for me. So what it is it's too big for print then cut, and we know that if we look up here, because the width is 11.5, the height is okay, but it's too wide. So I'm going to change this to, what's the biggest one we could do, 9.25. And that's automatically going to change the height as well, and hit enter. And now I can go ahead and make this, and it's going to print then cut perfectly on this mat. Okay, but again, let's go back and cancel that just as I had shown you yesterday. A nice way to see what you are able to, what is going to be print then cut. So if you come down here to where it says blank canvas, come up here and change the color of your canvas to something else, you can see exactly what's going to print then cut. There's no white box behind here. And what I should have shown yesterday, for those of you who did join me in the live or watch the repeat of it, what I should have shown yesterday was this. If I put a shape behind this, and I don't actually know the shape is back here, say like right there, I'm going to change this shape to white, and I'm going to send it to the back. And now you know when you want to make something a print then cut, what you do is you just kind of grab everything and you say flatten. Okay, I flattened all that and it still looks perfect to me, like that's going to be a perfect print then cut, right? And if I go over here to make it, looks like a perfect print then cut. I'm going to cancel this for a second. Let's come down here to where it says blank canvas. Come up here to the color swatch, change the background, and look, there's a hidden box back there that we weren't even aware was there. So when this goes to print, then cut, it's going to print okay and look just fine because white doesn't print. But when it goes to cut, it's going to cut along this box here, and then it's going to jump over and get this other stuff. So one of your best little old friends when you're doing print then cut is to always come down here and change the canvas color so you can see if there's some little sneaky thing hiding back there that's going to be cut that you don't want to have cut. Okay, does that make sense or answer your question? Anybody else have any questions about?
Yeah, Betty wants to know if you can do that as a save that as a PNG instead of a JPEG.
No, what I found when I did it as a PNG myself, if I'm remembering correctly, that sometimes there would be little gaps in these letters or where they were attached together. It just didn't work well for me. I have found that saving as a JPEG works a whole lot better than saving it as a PNG when you're going from Silhouette with a print and cut file to Cricut. You can try it, but from what I'm remembering, it did not work well for me. It works much better to save it as a JPEG. Anything else?
Barbara's got a question about the crop tool. She wants to know about the crop instead of erase.
The crop instead of erase.
Yes, what is the crop button and how does it work in Design Space? I only use the erase tool, but I don't think there's no crop button in Design Space. The crop button would be in the tool Silhouette.
The crop. Yeah, the only thing that
subtract, it's in the modifier panel.
Right, I was looking back here in Cricut to make sure there was nothing. The only thing that we've ever, done before was just drawing something and then you grab them both. And of course I can't do it now, but you would just, that's where you, what is it called? Slice.
Slice, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, yeah.
When you imported it as the JPEG,
correct.
When the background comes up, the purple and white and all that, and when you hit erase,
yes,
right next to that erase button, there's three things. There's an erase tool, and then there's a bigger erase tool, and then it says crop. And I've never seen anybody ever use that.
I don't have it. As far as
you'll see it. If you can get back to I think you would probably have to go all the way back to
importing the file.
Yeah.
So go to upload an image.
Oh, she's talking
browse.
about when you bring it in and you have the wand.
Correct.
Yes.
So this.
There.
Okay, you mean because of all this extra space over here? Because it's,
there you go. Up to the left.
Okay.
Go to the bottom.
The reason why you might want to use the crop tool is, well, if I just wanted the word, harvest or whatever, these. Okay, I didn't crop it very well. I could probably crop it again.
Okay.
So this is for if I want to crop out some stuff, I just want part of it in there. And then, of course, and then there's the erase tool, too. Maybe there's a little spot right here I don't want that I could erase, or that, I don't like that. I could do that. Of course, you could change the size of the erase tool. I'm going to Control Z won't work. Hit undo. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We all learn little tidbits here and there.
I was trying to picture a crop tool on the in the Design Space.
Yes, me too. Right. All right. So there's that again. So again, I would just continue, and again, I would not want this. Unless well, no, you don't even need this then. I was going to say, unless you just wanted a blank piece to go behind this to add some more strength to it, but you wouldn't even need to click this one. You could change this one into just.
So when you go to put those together, you just flip it down? Is that what you do?
Correct. That's it.
That's what I figured. I didn't do that when I made Carter's cake topper because I didn't know how.
No, I didn't know that before either.
Awesome. I'm glad to know that.
Yes, me too. I really have hard times. Go ahead.
I was just going to say I'll have to watch it again because I'm still not sure what you've done.
Oh, okay. it's pretty.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So I get my design, like you've got your harvest just the way you want it. And now I'm talking about in design space. And now
Let me go back to design
let's say
space.
I want to put that word harvest in a balloon. It won't fit right. It's a stupid idea. So how do you get that, now that it's all cleaned up and no white around it, as a pattern in design space? So that you know, I don't know how to do that. You've got that cleaned up, you put it in design space, but how do you say it's a pattern now? And
He wants the pattern in design space. So it's
Do you want to see how to save any pattern in design space? Sure, I can show you that.
I know how to save it, but I want to clean up the image. If I pull an image from the internet, get it all cleaned up the way I want it, it's now a JPEG. But it doesn't save it. When you save it to your library, then it still adds the white background, and I don't want that in my pattern. Do you know what I mean? I want my cleaned up, just the shape.
You mean to,
Like
if I'm understanding,
you took
because,
all the white around it off.
okay,
You took all the white off when you were importing it. So you imported it at, it was as a JPEG in the design space. That's beautiful, but it's still a JPEG. How do you take it from design space and make it a pattern?
so make the word harvest a pattern?
You had that word harvest all cleaned up. All the white around it was gone.
I can't quite understand what she's saying. Tammy, are you able to on your end?
No, it's a little blurry. But from what I'm understanding, you want to turn harvest into a pattern and bring it into design space as a pattern?
Well, I want the word harvest. Yeah, yes, but what I'm saying is I can get a graphic cleaned up so all the white around it is gone.
Okay.
In design space. Then you save it as a JPEG and you pull it into design space, but it's still, a printing cut. Now I want to take a balloon, for instance, and add that printing cut into the balloon as a pattern. I don't know how to do that.
Okay, the problem, if you've cleaned that all up in design space, I think what I'm understanding is the problem is you can't save that on your computer at all, right?
Right, that's the problem.
That's the problem. So that's another issue with design space. You can't save anything except for within their program. So that's why it's better to do it over in Silhouette if you can from now on, because you can save it and use it anywhere.
But there is a solution to that.
And that is,
and you can trace it, turn it into an SVG and take it. But you could save that, but you still couldn't use it as a pattern. You could actually save the thing as a JPEG and then bring that JPEG into as a pattern, right?
But
yes.
It's the background.
Okay, let me see. Let's try that once.
Yeah.
So you're saying
take your little
new, upload, and you want to upload a pattern. And browse.
Like you just did.
And so then this, I see what you're saying, because then you're going to get this.
Cleaned up, but now it's not cleaned up anymore.
I see what
now
you're saying.
Extra junk.
Couldn't you trace that and save it on your computer the same way, but as a SVG, and then bring that SVG in as a pattern?
So I was wondering, it was Diane, right? Are you the same one that was asking about saving it as a PNG?
No.
Okay, I wondered if that would.
Yeah, see, you have already cleaned that up.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. You gave us the solution. I love Silhouette business. I'm getting better and better at it because of you.
Yeah, because you can save things and you can manipulate them and use them anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll look into that some more. Right off the top of my head, I don't know how, but I'll look into it and see if I come up with something. And you are in our Silhouette Business Edition Facebook group, right?
Yep.
Okay, because I'll let you know there if I come up with something of how to do that.
Okay.
Because it seems like there might be a way. So it's as if you wanted to have this whole thing, fall harvest, and you wanted it with transparent background, and you wanted to use that as a pattern to fill into things.
Try and trace it and see. Try and trace it and take the you know.
But the problem, but see, there is
About-
nothing back there. So the problem, or you just mean to trace, okay, I'll try that.
Oh,
Select
yeah.
trace area. And I'm going
You
to
know, and
trace.
then detach the back like you do when you save a JPEG.
Correct. Then I'm going to do trace and detach. Uh-oh,
Yeah.
whoopsie, I didn't do that very well. Oh, let me try that again.
We can't see it.
Okay, oh, good.
You're still in Silhouette. I meant you're still in Design Space.
All right, so.
I think I tried this morning, and because you save it as an SVG, when you try to save it as a pattern, it says no. But let's see what you did.
Let's see. Let me move this. New share. Got to go back to Silhouette. Okay. So here we are back at Silhouette, and I was just going to select my share area, or my, whoopsie, look at that. Oh my. Huh. Z. All right. I gotta group this all back together. These things.
No.
All right, so that's all grouped back together. So what you were suggesting maybe is select the trace area. Delete this guy off of here. I don't need him anymore. Delete. Oops. Okay, so now I'm going to select the trace area. And I've got to up my threshold a lot because I want to get, or no, I don't, just see the outer edges. Well, let's just go with that. And I'm going to select trace and detach. Okay, it's running slowly. There we go. All right, so here's this and this. And Tammy, this is probably where they got all those little pieces we saw in that.
Yeah, they didn't clean it up.
All right, so I'll just take the word harvest now. So I'm going to highlight this to select it. I'm going to say File, Save Selection, Save to Hard Drive, and you're saying save it as a
JPEG. Yeah.
JPEG again?
Oh, on SVG. No, on SVG.
SVG, yeah. And let's see what happens this time. Okay, so now we're going to go back over to Cricut Design Space. So I'm going to go to New, and I will change my share. Okay, and I'm going to upload, and we want to try pattern fill, right? Upload a pattern, browse. I wonder if it'll even let you do.
It won't.
It won't. Somebody saying it won't.
Just see if it works for you.
You have selected unsupported file, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so we have to have a PNG. So let's go back over there one last time to Silhouette. Let me change my share again. Get rid of that. And so now one last time, I'm going to take this file, save as, save to hard drive, and I'm going to save it as Harvest again. And I'm going to save it. We'll try this as a PNG this time. And then if that doesn't work, we're going to try it. And it may work since we're not going to really cut it. We're just using it as a pattern. So that might be just fine to use it as a pattern like this. Transparent background, yes, but oftentimes going to Cricut Design Space, that doesn't stay.
Right.
So I'm going to come back over here to Cricut Design Space. And I need to share this with you. So I'm going to browse. And here it is, Harvest again, and it looks iffy because, oh,
There it is.
so that works.
Oh, you're saving it as
a PNG, I think. Let's try it. Let's save it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not going to show up here in your images because it's in your patterns.
Right.
So let's come over here to the canvas. Let's get a shape, a circle. And I'm going to make it bigger. And I'm going to say, I'm going to print, and I'm going to fill it with that pattern. And it should be the topmost pattern, which it is. Where'd the circle go?
Yeah, I think it's all that white around it. I think I've done that.
I'm going to change this color of the screen. This is it. No, that's my way in.
It's hard to see this.
Okay, what? So where'd the circle go?
Well, go in your advanced features and make your pattern smaller.
Can you look in layers, or is there layers?
The layers are over here on.
You know what I mean by that? I mean, go
It
in
shows the thing.
your edit your pattern, you know, edit your pattern up at the top.
Edit my pattern. Let's see. Pattern.
Yeah.
Okay, I got what you mean. Okay, pattern. Edit the pattern.
See, I think it's really all that white space.
Yep.
What I'm saying. Even though it looks like it wasn't there, I think it's there.
The circle's there. Look.
Right, but I think the white space behind the word is still there. I think
Oh, I see what you're
that's
saying.
why it was so much white space. It's hard to see because it's white. It's white, but I think even though it looks like we had success,
Right. I think.
it might be that
Well, it's hard when you go back and forth from these because I keep looking for that bug tool to be able to make this bigger so we can zoom in. You have to get down here. Yeah, you're right. That's not success.
I mean, you gave us a great option. Business edition was somewhere for $50.
Yeah. Okay. Well, again, I'll see if I can figure out anything. And I think maybe Nancy's here. She's probably working on it. She's pretty good at this kind of stuff. So maybe she'll come up with something also. All right. So let's see. What else did I have? Okay. So I'm going to go back to Silhouette. And are there any other questions about this for right now? Remember the way to add the pattern.
Mary Kay wants the name of the website with the free images. It's Pixabay. Pixabay.
There, you probably aren't seeing my screen yet. Here we go. There's the name of it. And the font that I just use is Orange Fizz. And someone had asked about another font, a good writing font. This is one that Tammy had found that she and I both like. It's called MA. Oops, actually I have it on this screen right here, I think. Yep, there's what it looks like too. And you find this at Dafont.com. And it writes really well. Even though it's like 2 lines, you can't really tell because they're so close together. And as Tammy and Nancy have both said, there's a really great site that you can go to find information about these kinds of things. It's called Crafting with Fields, whoops, LDS of Heather. Move this out of your way. Crafting with Fields of Heather.com. And that's a good site to go to look about fonts, all kinds of stuff. And I think Cheryl was the one who had asked about a writing font. She happens to be here. Okay. I had a couple other little screens I was going to look at for some reason. Okay, if y'all didn't see this yesterday, I was going to go over how to do the little tags again, but we really don't have time for that, so I'm going to skip over that. Let's see what else I have hooked up here. Okay, this, in case you were wanting to make some tags for somebody, I hope you are all aware of how we have that button that says Fill Page. So all that you do is you come up to a page like this. I've changed mine to letter size over here. And if I was to come over here and get a shape, that, and I want a whole bunch of them, and I just want to fill this whole sticker sheet up quickly, I can just come over here to the replicate panel on the right hand side, click on that, and then notice this button right here. It says fill page. Now, it fills it pretty well, but I like mine filled a little bit more full than that, so I'd probably fix mine so they were closer together. That's a quick way to do it if you want to fill a whole page up with something quickly. Okay, let's see, what else did I have here? Okay, the rhinestones, again, this was one where I just went ahead and made a shape, and mine has come filled in, but it doesn't matter. Remember this, with rhinestones, again, you come to the rhinestone panel on the lower right-hand side. There's the rhinestone panel. And I can change or add rhinestones to the outside edge, or fill the whole thing, or radially fill it. But my point here is this. When you make your own rhinestone design, you can resize it any way you want to. Because look right down here, it tells right here how many rhinestones are being used, or the 10 SS, which is the default. It says 85 rhinestones. If I stretch this thing and make it bigger, it changes the number of rhinestones. Now there are 173. Okay, that is different than this. If you go into your library, if you've purchased any rhinestones, I'm probably not going to be able to find it real quick. Okay, this is probably something that was purchased right here, the number 1. I'll open that, right? I cannot, let me get rid of these. I cannot resize these any size I want them to be. First, I'm just going to ungroup them, so I just have 1. Get rid of these 2. I cannot group this together and change its size. Maybe I want a bigger number 1. Because notice over here, it's not telling us the number of rhinestones. It's not doing any of that information over here because we did not create the file. If you didn't create the file, you can't just willy-nilly decide you're going to make that one really big. Because you not only made the one really big, but you made these holes really big. And your rhinestones will not brush into them properly. So whatever size these come in at, that's it. You're stuck with that. You cannot resize stuff that you purchase. And most files that you purchase will tell you that. They're designed for a certain size rhinestone, and they have to stay that way. And as I showed Roxana this week, if you don't know what size rhinestone this was designed for, like we had seen the other week, all you have to do is come back over to the rhinestone tool bar. So you get that again down here if you have to. It looks like this. Open that up. You can freehand draw a rhinestone. Automatically, it's going to draw one that's 10 SS because that's the default size. And now I can just zoom in really closely, and I can bring this rhinestone over here. Oh no, I'm thinking I just messed that part up. So let me draw another one. Bring him right over here. We can see, is he going to fit in that spot? No. He's too, let's see if I hit this. He is too small for that spot. So he is not going to go in there. So this is obviously not for 10 SS rhinestones. This one was probably for the 20 SS or something like that. But again, I resized it. And when if I'd want to make that number 1 really big, notice really now that thing's not going to fit in there. It's not going to stay. As soon as you brush rhinestones back and forth, he's going to wobble out. He just won't work. So let's see. I had one more thing to look at. Nope, that was that. And that was it.
Diana has a question.
Sure. Yeah.
She said, when you're bringing in a shape in Silhouette Business Edition, can you describe how to change the option to prevent it from duplicating the shape again? She said she knows.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so you mean to tell me when you bring in a shape like that and you want to move it, it just automatically makes a new shape or a new shape. Okay, that's in your settings. And I think I put a short video of that online somewhere recently. But all you have to do is this. Come up here to Edit and Preferences, and believe it's Tools. Okay, here it says Action After Tool Use. So on mine, I changed it. after creating a shape, I hit the drop-down menu and change mine to say choose select, which means after I create a shape, it's going to choose the select tool, the arrow up here. After I draw freehand, I changed mine to be choose select. You could have stayed at continue drawing, but I didn't want it to do that. Choose select. Now, for the eraser, I left mine to continue using the eraser, because usually if I'm erasing something, I'm carefully doing it and letting go of my mouse every so often and pretty often, so that if I make a mistake and jut into something I don't want to, all I have to do is hit undo one time and it just undoes that last part. All right, so for my other two, I also changed those for the knife tool to choose select and for the zoom, choose select. So that's all you do. Again, just come up to edit, preferences, tools, very top, after action after tool use, after creating a shape, choose select. After drawing, choose select. This is just the way I have mine set up. You may like yours like this, you may not. After using the eraser, continue, and the other two I have as choose select. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, Pat wants to know where you got the monogram for the Bling Anything cup.
The monogram for the Bling Anything cup. Okay, so there's Monogrammus. Are you familiar with that font? Let's see, let me type in my name, my PCA. Okay, I hate it when people have a whole slew of junk on their screen and I'm trying to learn something, so I'm gonna assume maybe you're like that too. All right, there's my initials. I'm gonna double click on them to highlight them. I'm gonna come over here and I'm going to hopefully type in Monogrammus. Here it is. And you can see up here, I hope, how it's spelled. M-O-N-O, like monogram, G-R-A-M, and then O-S. That is free from Dafont.com. But I want you to look at something. I have all of these in capital letters. So notice what part is cut out, the letter, right? If I don't want the letter cut out and I just want the letter when I'm using Monogrammus, I come over here to the text tool again. And rather than having my cap lock on, I'll take that off. And now I'll do P-A-C. And again, I will highlight this. And I will come up here to recently used. Recently used Monogrammus, and I'll change it. And notice now what's cutting out, or what I'm left with, the actual letters. So this is probably the one you use. So now how would you go about using that? And by the way, before I move on, can you see this light blue line underneath here? You know what that means? It thinks I spelled this incorrectly. That's telling me my spelling is wrong. So if you ever see that squiggly line under something and you're wondering, what in the world is that? It's telling you that you've spelled something incorrectly. So now what I would do to use these actually is I would ungroup them. So I have this circle, this one, and this one. And then all I have to do again is to right click and, I guess I must have to release the compound path, which is going to fill in those letters, but I don't care for right now. I'm going to delete these two by hitting delete on my keyboard after I select them. I'm going to grab this one back. I'm going to right click and say make compound path. And there's my little doodad back that I need. So that's the P. I'll do the same thing to the A. Release compound path. I'm going to get rid of this one, delete, and this one, delete. This one I'm going to right click and say make compound path. And that brings that back. And I would do the same thing to the C. That's how you use that. And again, it's Monogrammus, and it's from Dafont.com. Okay, any other questions?
I think the Rhinestone World has some free ones too, don't they?
No, they're not free at the Rhinestone World. They have free fonts, but not monogram fonts.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and then if you are going to use this for rhinestones, of course, you know, you're going to have to do some putzing around. You'd have to pay for them if you get them at the Rhinestone World. But now if you're going to try to do them yourself, let's see what happens if we do. Whoa. Okay. Okay. So now I got to show you something here, and you probably remember this. If you want to use these yourself, what you're going to have to do, let me get Control Z and get that back. So notice this letter is very short. You really can't tell that because I'm zoomed in so close. It's only about a ½ an inch tall. So you can imagine, you know, rhinestones take up space, right? So they're not going to be able to fit in there. So I'm going to have to make it much larger. And if I want to do the outer edge, it's still kind of icky looking. So I can get to a certain point, a certain size, and I can drag these like this because I'm making them. And notice it's changing the number of rhinestones that are being used. If I make this smaller, right now it says 54 over here. If I make this smaller, it's going to change the number of rhinestones. So this we can adjust. It's not adjusting the size of the hole. The program is smart enough to just adjust or to add rhinestones to it because it knows we've made it bigger. So that's how large you might have to make it for this one. And if it ends up you have to make it too large, you might want to do just one letter for your monogram or for your name. Or two, you can do the P and do the C on the other side. So just the 2 letters. Okay. Anything else? Oh, that was up there.
Patty Ann,
Yes,
check in the chat. I sent you a link for wordmark.it or something like that. The link's in there.
Word market.
Yeah, you know how if you're basically trying to say you're looking for a word and you don't know what font type you want,
Right.
it actually takes all the fonts on your computer and you can check it before you even worry about changing it in the thing. So you can actually write down which ones you need.
I love that. I hope you all have copied that down. I'll go to it right now so that you can see what she's talking about. Hold on, let me make sure that I can share this. Keep having to move it. Okay. So here I am at wordmark.it. So I can enter any name. I'll put my own name because I'm stupid. Cookie, and press enter to start. Okay, so this is showing the fonts. Wait, no, wait. What am I doing wrong? Showing your fonts.
Sometimes you have to allow flash or allow the up in the top, you know, the...
Oh, so probably I can't see that because this stuff's all in the way up here.
Or you can do Google fonts as well on the side there.
I think at the bottom it said show more.
Yeah.
Wait, maybe I can't see all your fonts. Okay, so I just have to install a Chrome extension. So
Yeah, that's what I did.
And I'll add it. And
It just saves so much time.
Add.
Because I find that's the biggest problem is trying to find what font you want.
I printed the pages out and I have them all the time I can look at.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, here we are. Now it's working because looky here. There it is, the monogrammus right there. Can y'all see this? Can you see my screen, Tammy?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
we can.
There's that new one I liked, Orange Fizz. Here's a new one I've used recently too. I love it, Shink. Very cool. There's that Magnolia Sky. So many people love this, but sometimes I think it's a little hard to read some of that text. So, all right, well, you know what, y'all? It's 9 after 11. I know some people probably want to get on out of here because it's Saturday morning and you have things to do. Of course, it's not Saturday morning everywhere, I know. Anyway, are there any other questions, Tammy, right before I was all...